How
What is
so?
that?
Anyway, How to Train Your Dragon 2 has, we did not see it in 3D because really expensive ticket prices. But,
Because $5 a ticket are really expensive.
3D adds like an extra $10 though.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't done a 3D movie before, have you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, don't recommend it. But, I don't know. I was just, have you guys seen the first movie?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we were all on the same page. I don't know. I bet you guys haven't read the books though.
Nope.
Nope.
I read the first.
I wasn't actually aware there was a book series until I just saw
It's
it in the
it's a
credits.
kids book series. I read the first one, but yeah, these movies do their own dang thing. So this one is just basically just a high flying adventure movie, and there's dragons and there's battles, and I don't know. It was a fun movie, but I can't really tell you much about what happened unless we want to spoil it.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me was that it was a step up in maturity, because if you remember the first movie, it was more aimed for a younger audience. It wasn't as young as probably the books were, because, I mean, there were still a lot of serious action moments in there, but it was definitely a step up in maturity. I mean...
Well, it probably because the characters aged 5 years.
Well, I mean,
let's
get
put
that.
it this way. The original movie was how many years ago?
3 or 4?
They've actually aged all the characters as much as the audience has.
That's
So
actually a
the
really...
audience has gotten
That's
more
actually a
mature.
really good point.
It really is.
I mean, that's
actually.
probably why Harry Potter was so popular, because
It
every...
aged with you.
Yeah, you as they got older, like by the time I was 14, that was the first time a character died in Harry Potter.
That's not a spoiler. I'm just
Oh
kidding.
yeah, speaking of, someone dies on camera, and they don't have the... What I was really glad they didn't do was they didn't have the thing where the character chokes out their last word, "I'm so proud of my sacrifice." No, he's just dead.
I know, and I think that the suddenness of it was a good shock for the audience, just to make you
Definitely.
think. It's like, whoa, this just happened.
Yeah, and it's also nice that they introduced Hiccup's mom in this one, who
And that's
went,
not a spoiler at all either.
who went all feral dragon person thing. They were going for like a dichotomy where his mom was like super into exploring and learning all she can about dragons. And Hiccup likes that too, but then
Well,
his dad
wasn't that at the start?
It's pretty much
remember,
a female hiccup times 20 years.
Well, remember, before then it was more she just was looking for peace. She wasn't, to the extent of raising them, training them, mapping the world. She just wanted peace at the time. So, I mean, it's something that's more developed over time versus Hiccup, who pretty much just grew into it as soon as he ran into Toothless on the first movie.
Yeah. And Toothless, of course, is the comedic highlight for me of the entire movie, because he's like the best cat ever. I mean, there was like one moment where he licks his paw and then scrubs his face, and I was like, oh my god, they totally took that from a cat.
He's just
Never mind the fact that it was also his own lick that he was rubbing off.
There were some gross out jokes.
a couple, not anything for like.
Thankfully, there was only like a couple.
There's only one or two I can really think of, but I thought overall it was pretty well put together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I my primary complaint. I've heard a lot of people complain about the villain. I didn't think the villain was.
If anything, the villain felt too small as a character.
He didn't show up till halfway through.
Even then, he had a very small presence until the big battles at the end.
But my main thing was when Hiccup meets his mom, and then his dad shows up, and they like have their big reunion. All that's happening while the bad guy is slowly approaching their island, and I'm like, can we move along with the family reunion?
Well, I disagree with that point, because the thing is, first off, they have no reason of knowing that anything's coming. They have no reason of feeling that anything's coming. If anything, I like the fact that it's an event that's still happening in the background versus, oh, look, convenience.
Yeah, but of course their whole reunion is like, okay, you've had your reunion now, boom, you're under attack.
I mean, I thought it was really well done in the end, and it was really good to see the characters a little more in depth than we had last time.
Well, big thing I really approved of was the fact that Hiccup and whatever his girlfriend's
Astrid.
name is, Astrid?
Yes.
They're dating, and there's really no bones about that made throughout the movie.
That's the best thing. It's very casual. It's obvious they're together. It's
And
obvious they
they're
like each other.
engaged. in fact.
Yeah, and they have a kiss at the end because, yes, hooray, we saved the town,
But at the same time, it wasn't forced in your face.
It was much better than this sort of thing. Congratulations, you won the movie. Have a girl as a reward.
Pretty much.
Which is what happens in a lot of boy fantasy movies, and it's a bad precedent to set.
And then, of course, they had to throw in the comedic love triangle,
Which was hilarious.
which added a fourth wheel out of the blue.
Yeah, no, it was a
It was
comedic...
more of a love square.
Yeah, I was about to say, we've got the girl twin, and then the two other guys, except for her brother, are vying for her attention.
Yeah, tough.
Which was
hats,
hilarious.
Yeah. And then, of course, she falls for something completely different.
So, yeah, she falls for extraneous character.
Extraneous character slash traitor slash...
He was he captured dragons and then he reformed because the guy who was capturing dragons for was an asshole who betrayed him, of course.
Welcome to Bad Guys 101.
Yeah, well, what's that list of things you must do as an evil overlord?
Oh yeah, the evil overlord.
You must betray your own followers at every opportunity.
Pretty much.
Because that's a totally excellent way to get followers.
Boost morale, really.
Yeah, it really does. The big dragon fight between the alphas was good, though.
That was... I mean, really, I liked that they used that to frame the battle between Stoic and Drago as the big thing.
Yeah.
And it felt very, metaphoric, one side versus the other as well. So it really captured the moment. Like, the fight by itself was kind of boring. Let's butt heads against each other.
I liked the fact that there was more dragon battles.
But it was like, when we're just on the talk of the alpha right now. I mean, seriously, point blank, ice breath. Use it.
They're probably immune to their own ice breath, though.
You can stab someone in the eye with an icicle.
I mean, all the fire-breathing dragons are immune to fire.
You can still stab someone in the eye with an icicle.
That is very true.
Especially since they were butting heads at point blank.
With those giant tusks.
That weren't really all that useful except for holding someone's head up.
But, I mean, that's exactly the thing. It's like they weren't really much use except for butting heads with someone else with similar tusks. Rhinos do the same thing.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. It's like, that battle by itself wasn't good. It's the fact that it framed the battle below that was what made it really impressive.
I love the design.
Dragon on dragon.
I
human,
love the
human.
design
Rawr.
on his mother's costume. It was sort of witch doctory. I really
It was
loved
a little
the design.
too much. It was like, okay, this is a random sage who floats through the clouds
That
and then
was a
down.
great,
It's like,
that was a great introduction. She comes up, and she's riding on a dragon, but you don't see the dragon, so she's just kind of cloud surfing, and she just stands there. It's like, sup?
That was the most unusual entrance.
That was a very unusual entrance where you're
And
just like,
Jacob's just standing there.
Hi.
hi.
Normally, I don't see other people up here. Hiccup has actually aged well. He
did. He kept a lot of his original personality, but he refined it.
Yeah, he seemed way more mature. In the first movie, I was a little annoyed with him.
Yeah, he kind of flailed around a lot. In this, he has a little more confidence in himself. He makes his decisions and he sticks with them versus what's everyone thinking.
And he has a flaming sword.
The flaming sword was awesome.
With rechargeable canisters. I mean, I know he's like Tech Master General, but still... his whole battle suit was too cool.
I know, he had a pretty good...
The Viking version of a lightsaber,
Pretty much.
which explodes.
It was
Yeah.
pretty much, it was a sword with the flammable dragon saliva on it. It created a spark when it slid out, boom, flaming sword. The
other end is a canister of fire gas.
Yeah, it's essentially flammable gas. You spray it out, set it on fire, boom.
So, and he's got a thing for a map that he's making of the world. Good luck on that one.
Apparently his mother's explored much more of it.
And he's got a flight suit. I mean, it literally the same as we've got now. It's like,
He looks like a flying squirrel.
What's his other choice? A bat? There's not a lot of flying mammals out there.
True
and the poor sheep. Remember how that was how they made their living in the first movie? Sheep.
Yeah.
Well, now they've got dragons who can catch them fish all the time, so now they just use the sheep as
Target practice.
basketballs or something.
Close enough.
For a really the sheep catapult. The sheep catapult was too perfect. Boing, catch it!
10 points!
But it's a really good kids movie. I guess I could have wished for it to have a bit more of a powerful moral. You guys haven't seen the Lego movie, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay, the Lego movie, the third act, punches you in the gut. Like, it really pulls a 180 on you as to where you thought it was going.
Mm-hmm.
This movie doesn't do that, so I guess I kind of preferred the Lego movie just for, like, the end.
I guess
but
I disagree.
overall, this was a great movie.
And there's two things I want to disagree with there. One, I would not say so much this is as much a kid's movie because this does have a lot more heavier undertones, a lot more serious than it was in the first one. Because, I mean, when you get to character death, that's, especially when it's on screen, that's a very big defining moment for a lot of people when you see that on screen.
Oh, there was the very, pretty gruesome kill of the first Alpha.
Oh, yeah, that was
He got gored, and the only reason you don't see it is because they cut away.
pretty much. It was tactical blocking. Tactical blocking,
It
pretty
is
much.
still a kid's movie.
Yeah,
so
there-
they can't
there's-
show.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's still meant to be a kid's movie, but it feels like it's stepped up to more of a young adult age
I
group.
wouldn't be surprised if the next one has to work to not get a PG-13. Like, if they make a third one,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they keep this trend going. Because, hey, that would be a way for DreamWorks to set themselves apart from Disney. Because Disney has pitched their tent in kids' movies.
Pretty much. And I think DreamWorks moving up to something a little more serious, especially with how they're escalating this series, would just be pretty good. Was there a third book in the series? Or?
There's like 8.
Really?
So there's plenty of material for them to draw from.
Well, good.
And it's a successful movie. Of course, they're going to make another sequel.
Until they hit 3 or 4, and then
I mean,
we're
that's
gonna
why
start
we've
going
got 4
downhill.
Transformers movies. Despite how bad they are, they made money.
True enough.
There's not going to be a car. There's not going to be an Indicar for that. I'm not going to see it. They're not getting my money. That is, but so we're all in agreement. It's a good movie and you should see it.
Yeah, very
All
much
right. Not much else to say. Just go see it and experience it. It's a visual feast. So,
I guess the previews.
Preview discussion. We'll do this. Unfortunately, I saw most of these already.
so. Well, that's what we're here for.
But The Book of Life.
Now, that one certainly looked interesting. The story itself, as you said,
Dia de la Muerta.
Yeah. The story itself, the general overtone essentially looks like it's, love triangle, 2 men after a woman.
It looks like it's a kid's movie that doesn't have enough faith in its own storytelling.
Pretty much.
But boy, does the animation look good.
The animation looks absolutely fantastic, but essentially it looks like the story of a love triangle. 2 spirits make a bet who will marry the
I've
girl.
heard it described as Hispanic corpse bride.
I could see it.
Have you seen
I had
the
to think.
first
I had to think about that, but I could see it.
Actually.
one? Eh,
I've only seen parts of it myself.
honestly, I was under impressed, especially since I don't know. It's hard to top Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's true. It was definitely a very kids movie in this sense, though. This one was a lot. I mean, while it had its own moments of some seriousness, it definitely felt a lot lighter in tone.
Any movie that's gonna throw in "You Got What I Need" by can't even remember that guy's name, but Just a Friend. Biz Markie. That song is hilariously awful. So any movie that's got that in its on-screen performance soundtrack, it's got a light tone.
Very
In
light.
other words, it's a B-grade movie with a higher rate of graphics.
But hey, might see it for those alone. Okay,
enough.
next one was Zales,
Sales.
the diamond store.
Oh, right.
The preview for Cinderella, it gives us nothing. It's just
Jared's, that's what I was talking
It's a diamond commercial, and then you back up, and a butterfly lands on a crystal shoe.
And that's it. It's like, I literally said, what is this, a commercial for Jared's?
I thought we were done with the commercials and had moved on to the previews. There's
So we really didn't get much of a heads
Nothing
up
to
on
say
what's
about
coming up on
that.
that.
But hey, we know now there's a Cinderella movie.
and it's
That's
probably going to be live action because
Unfortunately. I
Maleficent was good.
yeah, but I don't like the idea behind Maleficent. But that's not really the point here. I just didn't like the idea behind it. The movie itself could be great, but I didn't like it.
Okay, the next one was Box Trolls, which
There's
looked weird.
It looked weird, but in a way, it like you mentioned when we were looking at the previews, but it made me think of the Jungle Book.
Because it's got the kid who apparently grew up with the box trolls.
And the box trolls essentially look like they live
Trolls
underground.
inside of cardboard boxes.
But they look like they live underground. They scavenge items from the world above,
Yeah.
and they make their living down there.
And then he discovers that there are other humans aside from him, the kid, living
Hey,
with the
look, a
box
love
troll.
interest.
Yeah, very much so.
So it's somewhere between Great Expectations and Jungle Book.
There we go. I wish I knew what Great Expectations was.
I was second that.
Bit too cosmopolitan of a reference there for us.
This is the movie guy.
But it didn't look bad. A lot of kids movies actually all kids movies on this list.
I wonder why that is. seeing
Yeah,
that
I
we saw a
can't
kids
imagine
movie.
why that is. But it looked fine. I did like that it looked kind of like claymation. It wasn't, but the style they were going for.
I definitely like the
angular
style. It was
faces.
something different versus everyone who's trying to capture more realism these days.
Yeah, it was stylized.
It lets you step back into the fact that it's a movie. It lets you step back in the fact it's a story. Not,
Yeah.
you know.
Rather than they don't look quite. It's the uncanny valley. No matter how close you get to humans, if it's animation, you're gonna have to step back a bit to keep people from freaking out and think it's like, oh my god, they look just like people. It's scaring me.
Yeah.
That was Monster House. That was what happened to that poor movie.
Next on the list.
Penguins of Madagascar.
Oh my gosh, that looked amazing.
Okay,
The whole point of the movie is to be a comedy.
yeah. The whole point is, hey, remember the penguins? Weren't they hilarious?
Well, to be fair, they had their own show on Nickelodeon for a while.
Yeah, I'm not saying they can't carry a movie. I mean, they can certainly carry a better movie than that stupid squirrel from Ice Age.
Ugh.
Let's not get
Scratch
into
or
that.
something. Scratch something.
Yeah.
Crap. Whatever.
Not funny enough to carry his own movie. Let's just
No.
not funny enough.
He was a
squirrel.
good comic relief in the background, but not as a major character. Versus the Penguins. The Penguins make an amazing comedy group because they have a variety of personalities. They take themselves so seriously.
And they've got that one penguin who really reminds me of Ed, and that they keep using him as a physical, tool.
And he's the one who makes the crash landings. He's just the one who you can't help but laugh at because you know that's his purpose.
Yeah, he's the bizarre, otherworldly monster creature.
Well, there's only one thing we have to do now. You know what we have to do now? The bounce house.
Definitely that. No, my favorite bit was they're falling through the sky and they slam into the windscreen of the second plane.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah, we
jump
fell
out
out
of
of
a
that
plane
plane.
and hit another plane.
Bird strike, report it.
And then they just they turn
Living is
on the
longer
windshield
life.
wipers for birds. And I just was waiting for them to be like, penguins?
Nope, just birds. Just move it along.
How did penguins get up here?
They probably run into so many they don't question it anymore. Such things probably happen in the Madagascar world.
Non-flying birds in the desert. Yeah.
So, who
That looks-
actually did Buck of Life in the Box Trolls? Because Cinderella's Disney, Penguins in the last one is DreamWorks, but who was the other two? Huh.
I don't
People
know,
we
honestly.
never heard of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, Box Trolls was the one I've not heard of.
Yeah. Kind of looked like, I guess it could be the people behind Coraline. They're an independent studio. But, okay, so the last one was, terrible name, by the way, for this movie, Home.
But at the same time, it looked kind of
good.
Essentially, Home is the story of and this is interesting, it's obvious they're going for a racial demographic here, a young African-American girl, and this is probably...
And an alien.
An alien, essentially. This is looking to be probably about 13, 14-year-old girl, if that.
Yeah.
Essentially, this alien who everybody has found to be the utmost annoyance, to the point where they
kind of
grown
gets
and
kicked off of his ship.
ends up on Earth. Where he continues to be his annoying self.
He does alien things and shenanigans.
Like
and
the hover
shit.
car?
Yeah. He's like, I fixed up your car. What the hell did you do to it? Well, it wasn't hovering properly.
You are the worst driver
It's not
ever.
a hover car. It's a standard wheels on the road car, but thank you for the upgrade. Oh yeah, the alien's name is O. Because every time he shows up, people go, oh.
That's what all my friends call me.
Pretty much.
But honestly, I didn't get a good feel for what the plot
I was
was
about to
gonna
say,
be.
I'm not really sure what happened. It looks like aliens came to Earth. It looks like they tried to settle there. Because if you saw the...
Either that or scavenge.
Because I think they were looking for a place to settle, if I recall.
Yeah,
they were nomadic.
Nomads, but I just didn't get a good feel for where the plot was going.
I didn't either.
We've got the orphan child wandering around on her own, and there's no way she's just gonna be an orphan child.
Actually,
she's
no,
gotta
she's not an orphan.
Well-
It says she has a mother who loves her as part of the introduction. She's part of a family.
Well, my point is she has to have a storyline, and there was no indication of what the girl's
But it's just
line
that I don't
would be.
think that they did that. I think in this case it's the opposite. They're trying to use a normal girl with a normal life who gets dragged into this. They're trying to appeal to the sense of normalcy set awry.
That could work. I mean, it worked for E.T. 20, 30 Holy crap, 30 years ago. God dang it!
Could be worse. It could be Step It Up 2.
Oh, yeah. We didn't get a preview for that, but we see a poster. I can see it right here. It's not Step It Up 2, it's like Step It Up 7 or something, but...
Yeah, same
more
idea.
more dance movies. Oh, Lord. But, so, yeah, How to Train Your Dragon is a great movie. It's totally worth going to see in theaters. Maybe the 3D's worth it. We can't vouch for that, but this is the kind of movie 3D would be awesome for.
I could see it. I could see them pulling it off.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, apparently it looked great in the first movie.
Thankfully, they didn't force 3D because, you know, in a lot of the forced 3D things, they
do that
shoot things at you, poke you. They try to purposely involve the audience to the point where it's like, okay, this is just annoying.
I remember at the beginning of Monsters vs. Aliens, which wasn't a particularly good movie, but it was funny. Right at the beginning, the first scene is a guy doing paddleball right at the camera.
I remember
I was just like, oh my god, movie.
Really? Great, you've made 3D. Congratulations.
Dung, 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 dung. I mean, that's oh god, what is it? Friday the 13th 3D. In Friday the 13th, the third one, it's 3D, and they will just stop the movie to point the camera at a guy doing yo-yo or juggling, and they'll be pointing. It's like for like 10 seconds, the movie will just stop.
Yeah.
And this is a horror slasher movie. What the hell?
Let's give the audience a little relief here, shall we?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. And
I didn't mean us.
When did you get here?
Well, thanks for watching.
Bye.